Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Berea City Council meeting, Tuesday, November 19th, 2024. I'll call the meeting to order. Madam Clerk, please let the record reflect that a quorum is present. This time, I'll call on Teresa Centers to lead us in the invocation and Pledge of Allegiance. Teresa?
Anyone who'd like, bow with me, please. Father God, we come to you in humility and in faith, thanking you for blessing this city. We ask for your guidance and your strength as we make decisions that affect the population. Show us the way and give us courage and wisdom, along with patience and understanding. And we are so appreciative of your grace. So we ask all these things in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Teresa. Next item on the agenda is approval of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve?
Good to know.
Motion by Jerry Little. Is there a second to approve the agenda? Jim Davis. Any discussion? Katie?
Would it be possible to move public comments to the beginning of the meeting, since our last meeting was a special called meeting and the public didn't have an opportunity to weigh in?
You can make a motion to
Great.
amend.
I'd like to make that motion.
Okay. Where would you want it?
Well, what makes the most sense? Maybe after the proclamations?
Probably before the ordinance.
Yeah, that's
9B.
9B.
Sure,
So
sounds
there's
great.
Motion to amend the agenda to move public comment to 9B. There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
There's a second. Is there any discussion on the motion to amend the agenda to move public comment to 9B?
I'll just make the point for the record, and I think the reason Katie did it, we had a special call meeting that didn't have public comment, and there's obviously a lot of people here, which I'm assuming, while everybody's, I'm sure, excited about Small Business Saturday and Regional Airport and the like, I'm assuming that's what they're here for, so I think that makes sense.
Okay. Further discussion on the motion to amend? Seeing none, I'll request a voice vote. All in favor of the motion to amend, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say no. I'll request a roll call vote. Mr. Davis?
No.
Ms. Centers?
No.
Ms. Startzman?
Aye.
Mr. Little? No. Mr. Cottle?
Aye.
Ms. Wilson?
No.
And Mr. Terrell?
No.
5 to 2, so we are back to the original motion to approve the agenda. Is there any further discussion on the motion to approve the agenda? Seeing none, I'll request a voice vote. All in favor of the motion to approve the agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say no. I'll record the vote as 6 in favor, 1 opposed. The motion carries and the agenda is approved. The next item on the agenda is approval of the minutes from our November 6, 2024 meeting. Is there a motion to approve those minutes? By Jerry Little. Is there a second? By Ronnie Terrell. Any discussion, corrections, or additions to the minutes from November the 6th? Seeing none, I'll request a voice vote. All in favor of the motion to approve the minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
And all opposed, please say no. Motion carries and the minutes are approved. Next item on the agenda is we do have 2 proclamations, and the first one is for 2024 Small Business Saturday. And I want to thank Donna Angel for her help with this. Traditionally, we have a small business owner in Berea who comes to accept the proclamation on behalf of all the small businesses. And this year we have Patty Coyle from Hayes Furniture. I was talking to Patty earlier. Where are you, Patty? I know you're here. She's in the back, hiding from me. I know from talking with her earlier tonight that Hayes Furniture, between the Hayes family and Patty and her family, are celebrating 55 years in business, which is a tremendous accomplishment. And Patty, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through both proclamations. Then I'm going to ask both of the folks who are getting proclamations tonight to come up, and we'll do a little photo op after that, okay? So I do want to read to you the proclamation for 2024 Small Business Saturday. Whereas the government of Berea, Kentucky celebrates our local small business and the contributions they make to our local economy and community, and whereas, according to the United States Small Business Administration, There are 34.7 million small businesses in the United States. Small businesses represent 99.7% of firms with paid employees. Small businesses are responsible for 61.1% of net new jobs created since 1995, and small businesses employ 45.9% of the employees in the private sector in the United States. And whereas 68 cents of every dollar spent at a small business in the U.S. stays in the local community, and every dollar spent at small businesses creates an additional 48 cents in local business activity as a result of employees and local businesses purchasing local goods and services. And whereas 59% of U.S. consumers are aware of Small Business Saturday, shopped or ate at a small independently owned retailer or restaurant on Small Business Saturday in 2023. And whereas Berea, Kentucky supports our local businesses that create jobs, boosts our local economy, and preserves our communities. And whereas advocacy groups as well as the public and private organizations across the country have endorsed the Saturday after Thanksgiving as Small Business Saturday, now therefore I, Bruce Fraley, Mayor of the City of Berea, Kentucky, do hereby proclaim November 30th, 2024 as Small Business Saturday in the City of Berea, and urge our residents and communities across the country to support small businesses and merchants on Small Business Saturday, celebrating its 15th year in 2024, and shop small throughout the year. So that is our proclamation, and Patty, I'll get you to come up in just a second. Our next item is another proclamation, and I'm very happy to welcome Captain Kevin Justice. Captain Justice, are you here? He's right over here, who's with the Salvation Army in Richmond, if I remember correctly, correct? And we do want to do a proclamation to acknowledge the work that's done by the Salvation Army. And the proclamation is titled Salvation Army Love Beyond the Holidays Day, November 19th, 2024. Whereas the Salvation Army was founded in 1865, has a rich history of serving our community with dedication, compassion, and a mission to provide love beyond to our neighbors in need. And whereas the Salvation Army's iconic Red Kettle and Angel Tree programs have become symbols of hope and generosity during the holiday season, allowing individuals and families to experience the joy of giving and receiving. And whereas the Salvation Army's commitment to serving those experiencing homelessness by providing shelter and warmth, offering food to the hungry, extending emergency financial assistance to struggling families, and organizing youth programs, including summer camps, demonstrates their dedication to supporting our community's most vulnerable members. And whereas the Salvation Army stands ready to respond to disasters, providing critical relief services and support to those affected by emergencies, ensuring that our community remains resilient in times of crisis. And whereas the Salvation Army offers worship services that provide spiritual nourishment and support to individuals and families, fostering a sense of belonging and community. And whereas the Salvation Army has been faithfully serving our community for many years, continually striving to meet the evolving needs of our neighbors, building stronger, more caring, and compassionate community. And whereas the Salvation Army relies on the support of generous citizens, businesses, and volunteers to fulfill its mission, encouraging everyone to give their time and resources to support their critical work, whether by becoming bell ringers, angel tree workers, or contributing to their everyday volunteer needs. Now therefore, I, Bruce Fraley, Mayor of the City of Berea, Kentucky, do hereby proclaim November 19th, 2024 as Salvation Army Love Beyond the Holidays Day in the City of Berea, and urge all citizens to join me in recognizing the outstanding contributions of the Salvation Army both during the holiday season and throughout the year, and encouraging citizens to support and volunteer for Salvation Army activities throughout the year. So, Captain, if you would come up, and Patty, if you would come up, we'll do the proclamations. And Jay, would you mind doing the photo? Andy will take care of the photo. Never mind, you're off the hook. thanks to both of you for being here and doing what you do to serve the people in our community every day. The next item on the agenda is Central Kentucky Regional Airport update, and I'm pleased to have Berea representative to the board and chairman of the board, George White, and former city council member George White, to give us an update. George, you have the floor, sir.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor, council members, future council members. Thank you for letting me come and talk to you about your airport. And we'll get it up here on the screen here in just a moment. But I want to take this moment to thank the council and the city. We have great cooperation from you all. We have great cooperation from the county and also the city of Richmond. In fact, we're the envy of many other airports in the state. We've got 3 governments, and now EKU is on the board. Some airports have a hard time getting one government lined out to get what they need, and we've got essentially 4 organizations that we have to go through to get together, but everybody bends over backwards to get everything done. And don't really know why it's not up here, but that's all right. We had it up here just a few minutes ago. But our airport out here is 5,000 feet long. It'll take just about any size corporate jet that is out there, and so we're not hindered by size and that kind of thing. It is we'll just kind of go on, move on. Let me get my notes real quick.
Amanda's trying to help you, George. Hopefully we'll get it turned back on.
Technology is a wonderful tool. Somebody. It's worked great in rehearsal, by the way. But like I said, we're 5,000 feet long. We have 69 based aircraft out there. We have all types of operations, from corporate aircraft, general aviation, military, U.S. Forestry Service. Just all types of operations are in and out of there every week. Here we go. We'll start here. All the other stuff I'll see. This kind of gives you a real good look at the types of operations. You know, that one's supposed to be on too. Sorry for you all in the back. You'll get this one up here working here in a minute, I'm sure. But again, general aviation, corporate use, helicopter use from the state police, Air Methods Medevac, National Guard, Pipeline Patrol, and then also, as I mentioned, the U.S. Forestry Service. They're going to be moving about 40 to 50 jobs into Madison County. They'll be stationing about 2 helicopters out at the airport, mainly to provide fire patrol over eastern Kentucky. And we're just tickled to death to have them out there. Corporate use, you see down there, NACO, Belt, Buc-ee's, private jets, AFG Glass, Love's Truck Stop, and even Waffle House has a corporate jet program, if you can believe it. But what we're all about is we're an essential economic engine out there. As Mark Carter, Commissioner of Department of Aviation, says, counties have realized if you don't have a good sized airport, business will look at you and rule you out because you're just behind the times. Corporations want to be within 30 minutes of their factories, jobs, and that kind of thing. This is a map of Madison County. You see kind of the yellow thing is where the airport is. And we have 9 industrial sites within a 30-minute drive of our airport. So we are a central aviation facility. Also, we have plenty of commercial retail operations as well. This kind of gives you an idea of the manufacturing jobs in the area that we serve. This area has over $2 billion in retail sales, and we're very proud of the service that we can give this particular area. EKU, of course, is a major player out there. They have 30 aircraft. They have a total of 461 students in their aviation program out there. They have over 400 students in the flight program, but they also have aerospace management, which a lot of their graduates go on to manage other airports, Lexington, Louisville, Northern Kentucky, and beyond. They have a unmanned aerial vehicle program, drones, in which they've got that program going, and they're getting into aerospace technology and manufacturing. So they are really moving on. In the last 3 years, they've had a 50% increase in students out there. So they are continuing to grow, and as I'll get into a little bit, we're trying to make room for them out there. What goes on at the airport? Well, it's not just a bunch of rich people flying around their toy airplanes. We have, of course, open houses that we invite you all out and see what we've got. We have a Young Eagles program in which we fly for free young kids and inspire them maybe to become the next great corporate or airline pilot, aircraft maintenance, and also we have a lot of school field trips that come out there. This is kind of a picture of a somewhat typical day. It doesn't look like this every day, but it's becoming more and more routine. There's 2 corporate jets there. Most of the other aircraft you see there are EKU's trainer aircraft, and this is even after we have enlarged our ramp space out there. But as soon as we get something expanded out there, we need more space. It's a good problem to have. It's not that we build it and they'll come. They're already here. How come you don't provide us the space to be here? So how do we get our funding? That's what everybody asks, where do you get your money at? Well, we've got 3 basic sources. One from the federal government. Certain eligible projects they will fund at 100%. Others they will fund at 95%. They have the ones they fund at 100% are called discretionary grants, and we received almost $1 million toward our new ramp expansion you'll see in a minute. And then there's something called an entitlement funding. Right now we have $150,000 every year to spend on FAA approved projects. We don't get the money, but we get it allocated. So when we come up with a project, we pitch it to the FAA, and if they agree that it's a good project, then they fund it. From the state, we come from the Transportation Department. The Kentucky Aviation Department is underneath it's actually the Transportation Cabinet. And the state will match the federal funding 2.5%. There's also state discretionary funding that they will give us for 100% for some projects that I'll go into in a little bit, and also state economic development funding. Local funding, our local governments directly support us in $25,000 per year to use as matching fund and for other projects that we have out at the airport. Then we have local airport operational revenue. We lease the airport to a fixed base operator who manages the airport, and he gets certain rent for aircraft in the hangars and one thing and another. Flowage fees, when the aircraft fuel up out there, the airport board gets a percentage of the flowage fee. And also we've got 3 brand new T hangars out there that, again, you'll see here in a minute, but we get rent from that to the tune of about $85,000 a year. And then our local funding is used, again, to help match some of the federal projects that we have. Our proposed improvements were all about safety. And the additional ramp space that we're going to go for is going to separate general aviation, EKU aviation, corporate aviation. Again, as you saw from the ramp, we're a little crowded out there now, even with the most recent expansion, and our future expansion is going to help that out. We're planning on additional hangar space. We've got aircraft that we cannot put in hangars, and we've got about 10 to 15 people that want to bring their airplanes to our airport, and we don't have any place to put them. The new terminal building that we're planning, this will be the front door to our community. It just like if you're trying to sell a house, when the prospective buyer comes up the front door, and as soon as they walk in the front door, that's their first impression. Well, our new terminal building will be the first impression that corporate heads see when they come into our community. And as they say, one of our little things we say, that corporate leaders don't come to town on a Greyhound bus, they come in corporate aircraft. So the first time they see of your community, their first impression is the airport and how up to date we look like, and their impression really goes a long way. It really, really does. This is kind of a drawing of our airport and where we are. The blue area up at the top is the phase that we have just completed. This up here, these are the 3 new T hangars that we've got. This area here is where the new terminal building will be built, and the EKU Flight Education Building, in which they've got a $25 million state grant, will be built down in this lower area where we're going to expand down to the south end of the runway. So that's kind of our development plan and where we are today. The black area is the most recent ramp expansion. You can see the 3 new T hangars right here. This aerial photograph, there's the 3 hangars right here. The original buildings are over here on the right side, and the terminal building is going to be built right there in that little green space right there. You can see right there where the new terminal building is going to be built. And then this phase 3 area down here is where we're going to be working on next. This is maybe too much information, but this is our airport layout plan, and this is good. Well, we try to plan for the next 10, 20 years. We have to submit an airport layout plan to the FAA, and if what we want to build is not on this airport layout plan, they say, no, not yet. You're gonna have to show us where it is. You're gonna have to tell us a lot about it. So this is what we've just sent to the FAA for approval for our expansion for the next 10 to 20 years. The terminal building is going to be built, that's right there in that area. The new EKU educational building, again, is down in this area. The yellow is an expanded ramp. I mentioned the U.S. Forestry Service. We're planning on their location to be over here to the right, an additional T hangar, some other hangars down in through here. So we are working so that if something comes up, we're not going to be surprised. We've even planned, there's a little bitty dot right in the middle, for a control tower. Our airport is the second busiest airport in the state general aviation wise. Bowman Field is the only general aviation airport that's busier than we are, and they've got about 55,000 operations a year. An operation is a takeoff or a landing. We're in the high 40s. So we're right on the heels of Bowman Field as far as how busy we are. They've got a control tower, we don't. So we are now applying and have been asked to apply for a control tower for our airport. That will improve safety, that'll improve operations. Right now we are very safe out there. The pilots have a rules of the road, see and be seen environment, and they have telemetry in their airplanes that can actually tell them where other airplanes are, and they talk a lot on the radio and communicate, and they work together really, really well. in the mix that we have out there. It's a very impressive operation, actually. Okay, here's kind of some dollars. In the next 5 to 6 years or so, we're planning on a water sewer project, of which is going to be bid this week. About $2.1 million. That will allow for fire suppression for the new terminal building and the new education building. And if a corporate customer wants to bring an airplane out there and put it in a hangar, they'll want to sprinkle the hangar. They'll be able to do that with our water sewer project. Also, it will improve fire protection for that area, Peggy Flats Road area out there, because again, we'll have an 8-inch water main and we'll have honest to goodness hydrants out there. The other thing with the 4-inch force main, we've got a septic system now, which is totally inadequate, but the force main will push it back up to Fincastle subdivision, and customers in the immediate area out there will be able to tie on to the force main by using a force pump into the force main. So it'll actually improve that situation out there as well. Got a taxi lane connector, some run-up pads. This is the airport terminal. We've got about $5.2 million plugged in for that. Some security fencing. Here's our expansion and our non-federal control tower, $3.5 million. That's there's a little over $21 million, which sounds like a lot of money, which it is. But to kind of put this into perspective, the original purchase price of the land out at the airport was $128,000. And construction that we've had out there with all the hangars, all the expansion, the overlays, the widening and everything, since the airport was built in 1970, it was opened in 1979, till now, we've spent, I say we, no, I didn't do it, but almost $16 million has been spent out at the airport since 1970 through this year. And just in the next 6 years, we're planning on spending $21 million out there, and that does not include the $25 million EKU educational building. So if you can imagine, we are about to explode out there. And again, we're not building it so somebody will come. We're not hoping somebody's going to be there. They're already there, and they're wanting us to get something for them. EKU has been operating for the last 4 or 5 years out of some temporary trailers. I mean, that's what they've had to operate out since their program has expanded. So what does all this mean? What's the impact? Again, I'll tell you, we're pretty busy out there. We currently have around 300 operations a day, and we're going to 400. Again, better fire protection for the area. Sewage force main will serve the immediate area. Job creation, again, there's going to be 50 or so, 40 to 50 forestry service people moving into the area. The factories that we enjoy, the people and the businesses from them, a lot of them would not be there if our airport was not there. And so there will be more business expansion, and then we get into this multiplier impact that you have a direct impact, and then the money turns over approximately 3 times in a community and all of that. The other thing about aviation in Kentucky is it is a $40 billion economic driver for the state. Aviation manufacturing, just aviation manufacturing alone, contributes $13.5 billion a year. Now, to put that in perspective, auto manufacturing in the state of Kentucky, which we all think that's the big deal, right? About $7 billion. So aircraft manufacturing, we've got jet engines being built in the western part of the state, aircraft brakes that go on Airbus, Boeing, everybody. And here in little old Berea, we have an aerospace manufacturer right here in Berea. Middletown Composites manufactures composite pieces for Boeing, for all of the major airlines, and they specialize in military applications. Uh-oh, what did we do? So aviation is big business in Kentucky, and it touches us all in one way or another. And heard that this morning, talked about EKU and their $25 million educational building. This morning, out at the airport, we had a groundbreaking for this facility, and the governor was there, both President Stivers and the House Speaker was there, and it was a great event. But we're getting started on that, and our 1 mile of asphalt out there at the airport can take you anywhere you want to go. And I want to quickly touch on one other aspect that's neat to have out at the airport. Everybody's familiar with North Carolina and the hurricane that blew through there. Myself, two of my pilot partners, and another pilot, Andrew, I can't remember his last, Walker, flew supplies down to the North Carolina area into the Chimney Rock, Lake Lure area. We took almost 3/4 of a ton of stuff down there in 4 different flights. And so we were able to get down there in just a short period of time. We did this the week after it hit, before trucks and everything was starting to get in. And we raised about $3,000 in addition to all of the stuff that we took down there. Darlene Snyder Grant kind of spearheaded getting the donations, and we flew them down in my airplane and Andrew's airplane. But it's just another thing that that our airport can do to help people out. This is most of what we took down there. That's my airplane, stuffing it full. And then when we got down there, we worked with Habitat for Humanity. Was down in Rutherford County, Rutherford, North Carolina. When we got down there, they had National Guard at a temporary control tower set up down there, because people like me, other general aviation pilots, were coming in there just in large numbers, so they needed some control on it. And this is some of the stuff that was taken down there. And this is kind of some aerial shots of some of the damage. The lighter clay colored area is where it went through. This area right here was amazing. You could see where roads had been washed out, where buildings had been washed out, all of this area here, and then this one over here, all this down through here. There was a lot of green space, a lot of stuff that was not touched. But if you happen to be near a creek or a stream, it was just devastating. And it was just a really neat thing to do. So anyway, come out to the airport, one of the best places in the county to view a sunset, and we'd like to have you out there. Just call me anytime if you want to come out, and if you have any questions, I'll be happy to entertain them.
Thank you, George. Questions for George? Katie?
Yeah, Katie?
Do you all does the airport body itself have paid staff? Or do you, since you lease it to the SBO?
No, we lease the airport to
Right.
the fixed base operator, and he has the staff. The airport board has no staff whatsoever. I think he's got around 10 or so people. Most of them are EKU students who are in the program in aerospace management. They're learning by doing to manage airports and that kind of thing, but they're the ones that have the labor and so forth.
Cool. And I just wanted to add one thing. Maybe everybody's aware of this, and maybe you or Steve can speak to this, but I remember the first event I went to at the airport as a council member. I didn't really know how unusual EKU's aviation department is, because so many aviation programs are for-profit. Can one of you guys speak to that? Because isn't it kind of unusual for a state school to have such a strong aviation program?
I can't speak for EKU, of course, but I don't think that they would be considered a for-profit.
No, I'm saying they're not for-profit, which is really
yes, they're
cool.
not
So
for-profit.
many aviation schools are for-profit.
But to that, we have another group. It's called Kilroy Aviation. No pun intended, I hope. But we have them out there if anybody wants to learn how to fly off the street, so to speak, outside the EKU operation. We have them out there, and they will take you from your private instruction all the way through your certified flight instructor rating. EKU is a non-profit. They are the only university institution in the state that has an aviation program.
Other questions?
Again, thank you all very much.
Thank you, George. All right, next item on the agenda is I'm happy to recognize Sean Sandlin, our fire chief, to bring us up to speed on a Safe Haven baby box update. Sean, the floor is yours.
Good evening, council, mayor. It's good to see a great audience out tonight. Appreciate that. The Safe Haven baby box. Put a packet in front of you prior to the meeting. We'll not be going over each page of the meeting, but just a highlight of that is what is a Safe Haven baby box and what does it look like? So it's a safe, compassionate, and secure option for mothers in crisis who are unable and to care for a newborn baby. It provides a safe and anonymous way to surrender an infant to a firefighter in the time that they need to do that. The box is installed in an exterior portion of a wall, and it allows for transfer from the outside to the inside. Once the door is locked outside, it cannot be reopened. So it provides a safe way to, once the door is closed, the mother has made that decision, and then it alerts us and alerts dispatch that there's a baby been surrendered, and we would go take care of that baby and take it through the process of the next steps of its life. We would be able to contact the police department and the hospital, the EMS services, and everybody to have that baby checked out, and then it would be turned over to social services. So we would be the first line for the life of that child. And at first, I'll be honest with you, I was a little bit reluctant to have that in Berea, since Richmond is just an open one, and we really didn't have enough data to say it's needed in Berea. But after listening to Executive Director Sarah Roof and her presentation and our location with Garrett County, Rockcastle, Jackson County, Southern and Madison County, I said, you know, what is our mission? How does it fall within our mission? And our mission is to safeguard life, property, and the environment. So it falls exactly in safeguarding life, our main priority. So I was like, yeah, we need to do that. So with Rose's and Bruce's support, we entered into a tentative agreement to have that baby box placed in Fire Station 2. And I'll be happy to announce tonight, after speaking with Sarah, that we have received a donation for $15,000 to go towards that baby box at this time. So with any concerns or anything with the council, be free to get with me or Mayor Fraley in the next few days, and we can discuss that a little further. But I think it's a great way to give an option to a mother that's in crisis. And I'll be happy to take any questions.
Thank you, Sean. Questions for Sean? This is something that happened relatively quickly and relatively easily. Teresa?
How quickly will that happen once you get started? So
Now that we've received the donation of $15,000, that provides enough money to build the box. So we're in that process now. We've built it, and we've not really signed any agreement or anything like that. We obviously want your all support on before we do anything like that, but just tentatively, we've had that donation back, so it's not really going to cost the city any money. So with your support, we can enter into a contract, I guess, at that point, and start moving pretty quick. The baby box is being built at this time with that donation. Yeah.
Other questions for Sean? For Jane?
I don't have a question, just a comment. Thank you all. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you.
Other comments or questions for Sean? Steve?
Procedural question, do we need to vote on anything to sign a contract? Or
I don't
like
think
come
we
in the
have
future?
to, where it's not a budgetary item. I think generally what Sean's looking for is a consensus. We could do a motion in a second to support, would be fine, I think. But
I'll
I
make the
think
motion to,
Steve making a motion
Yeah.
to support the project. Ron Terrell's gonna make a second. Is there any discussion on the motion to support the project? Seeing none, I'll request a voice vote. All in favor of the motion to support the project, please say aye.
Aye.
And all opposed, please say no. Motion carries. Sean, thank you for your update, and we'll move forward. Just let us know what you need, and thanks again for doing the heavy lifting and researching it and trying to figure out where this would go best. You did a great job on that. Appreciate you.
Thank you. I appreciate y'all's support.
The next item on the agenda is ordinance number 23-2024, ABC revision, and this is a second reading. Mr. Gilbert.
Having read the proposed revisions at the first reading, I will summarize ordinance number 23-2024 by title. An ordinance of the City of Berea, Kentucky, revising the Alcohol Control Code by adding section 56005, subsection B0O, to prohibit nudity in adult entertainment activities on licensed premises and to prohibit sales of alcoholic beverages on city-controlled property.
This is the second reading. Is there a motion on ordinance number 23-2024?
So moved.
Motion to approve by Teresa Centers. Is there a second? By Jim Davis. Is there discussion on the motion?
I have something I'd like to bring forward. I know it's not going to change the outcome of the vote, but, and it was my understanding that everybody was going to receive a copy of this, but I don't believe y'all did. I requested a, opinion from corporate counsel about potential, liability for the city, legally if, this is in relationship to alcohol being sold on property that the city controls or owns. And I received that on Friday, afternoon. I won't belabor it and read the whole thing, and I'll ask that maybe we can distribute that to council after this meeting.
Certainly.
But basically, the opinion says that there's legal risk in almost any activity engaged in by the city. Legal risk is a part of existing municipal governance. That is the reason for liability insurance. So this memorandum that they provided is limited to any additional liability exposure that the city may face due to the actions of licensed sellers of alcohol on its premises. And then, okay, let me read this next paragraph and then we'll summarize. In order to be legally responsible and liable for something other than a contract, an actor must either be negligent or act intentionally to cause harm. And then the writer of the letter will not further address the latter since it's not really pertinent to the issue considered in this memorandum. And so then talks kind of about case law and other judgments that were relative to this. So consequently, we see no additional liability on the city due simply to the actions of a licensed seller of alcohol on city property.
Bruce, I'm gonna call for the question.
Does that have to be seconded? Just don't want to hear the legal opinion of the city attorney? I was just trying to summarize it.
Well, Ronnie's putting me to my parliamentary procedures test.
I thought call for question needed to be seconded.
If
but
there's
maybe I'm
a
wrong.
call for the question, it does require a second.
Second it.
So there's a second. And there is no discussion. It requires a 2/3 majority. So the motion is to call for the previous question. All in favor of the motion to call for the previous question, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say no.
No, hell no. Give me a break, y'all.
We have 7. Pardon me, I gotta do math.
For now.
I'm not sure of that, Steve. My math's not that good offhand. %, so motion carries. Sorry about that for the delay, but we will move, we will, the call for the previous question takes us to a vote on the motion to approve ordinance number 23-2024. So I will make do a request for a roll call vote, and I'll begin with Jim Davis,
Yes.
Ronnie Terrell,
Yes.
Cora Jane Wilson,
Yes.
Steve Cottle, Jerry Little, Katie Startzman,
No.
Teresa Centers.
Yes.
Recorded vote is 5 in favor, 2 opposed. Motion carries, and ordinance number 23-2024 is approved and adopted. The next item on the agenda is department head reports, and our featured department head tonight, I'm happy to welcome Amanda Haney, Codes and Planning Administrator. Amanda, you have the floor.
Thank you so much. Good evening, Mayor, Council. I think since we are nearing year end, I'd like to give more of an annual review for the Codes and Planning Department. It's been a pretty busy year with really no evidence of slowing. We've issued 689 permits so far this year. That's exceeded last year's totals. 118 of those are for new single-family dwellings, so that is up about 25%. So we've built or issued permits for about 30 additional houses so far this year. 22 commercial building projects, to include some pretty large projects at Berea College, so the new Edwards building, renovation at Hutchins Library, a renovation at the Frost building, Stevenson building, Evans House, which is the duplex on Estill Street, several projects at Hitachi, including some clean rooms, medical office, and a break room expansion. Novellus always has projects, so we've been out there quite a bit this year. Renovations at both Circle K's, in addition to the State Farm building. The EQI facility at the industrial park is doubling the size of their facility. And then, in case you have not heard, we got a Starbucks. We've had some infill this year. So you probably saw at the corner of Oak and Morning View a townhouse development there. And then 8 new houses in one of our oldest subdivisions in town. That is on Water Street in Madison, which is kind of across from Dixie Park area. So definitely happy to see some improvement in that area and some new structures. To date, we've done over 2,100 inspections this year and addressed 246 complaints for grass, trash, nuisance, so about 1 a day for those. On our planning and zoning side, we accomplished updates to our land management and development ordinance, so thanks to your all's help and participation for working on that project. We've reviewed and approved 5 development plans and 25 plats. That includes Stony View subdivision, which was a 55-lot subdivision currently under construction. Other lots at Stony Creek, and a preliminary plat, which is just kind of the beginning phases of a new subdivision, which will be called West Park subdivision off Minnelis Road. We have some much needed paving done at the north exit on Garden Gate Drive and Ridgewood Drive, and working toward accepting some new streets into our city maintenance. That would be at Fincastle and Pauline Drive area. That's significant because that means those subdivisions are nearing completion. And so, you know, that's what we work toward is making sure citizens are getting that infrastructure that was promised to them. On our GIS side, we continue to actively map the city's stormwater system. It is a requirement of Division of Water through our MS4 program, but that mapping will be hugely beneficial for our department, for our Public Works Department, and to any engineers who are designing projects in the city. So we are really excited for that. Our Trash for Cash program has had 8 events this year. So I would like to take the opportunity to just announce that the city does pay for nonprofit groups, school groups, any kind of community nonprofit to pick up litter, and we actually pay $100 a mile to those groups. So please take advantage of that. You can apply for that on our city's website. That is paid through a state grant, so it's really just a pass-through for us, but we like to get that community involvement. Actually saw some kiddos out picking up trash this weekend. So For capital projects, Brian Reed, the city's capital projects manager, has worked through some city projects, including a window replacement at the Folk Center, the design for the concession stand, so just the design work, construction will actually happen later. But toll building is nearing completion, and the basketball court paving and resurfacing project is complete. He will be working on new projects in the next few months, such as the pickleball courts and Memorial Park bathrooms. And I just want to give you a little heads up of what to expect for this coming year. The Kentucky Department of Housing, Building, and Construction will be updating the code cycle. So what that means for our office is that we educate ourselves on any code changes, and then we work to educate our contractors and the public on those code changes. That also includes electrical. So our electrical inspector, as kind of a side gig, teaches continuing education classes for our licensed electricians. So he's already been teaching those code changes that are coming up. We will also do a comprehensive plan update. It's really a 5-year, it's done every 5 years, but it is a 10 to 20 year outlook for the city. We expect that this year, that plan will focus on housing and land use, as much of the planning world is really focused on, again, housing affordability and housing needs. And so we've had a lot of studies that have come out this year kind of in anticipation of our comprehensive plan. And lastly, I just want to compliment our codes and planning staff. I just could not ask for any 5 better people to work with in my office than the people I work with every day. They are professional, knowledgeable, efficient, and just given the workload and stress of each day, we really enjoy working together and try to get a good laugh in occasionally, and I just know I couldn't do it without them. And I'm happy to take any questions at this time.
I saw Jerry Little turn his light on. Jerry?
Yeah. I just want to thank you, Amanda, and your staff for the good job you do and the efforts and the dedication you all put into it.
Thank you.
We really appreciate it. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Corjane?
I'll second that.
Thank you, ma'am.
Other questions or comments for Amanda? Katie?
I know that instituting, is it OpenGov, or instituting the online program for folks who are seeking business or building permits and that kind of thing has been a huge project for your office in the past. Are there any ways that you're going to be growing that or adding more things in the upcoming year, or is that kind of onboarding and getting set up basically done?
We will continue to use that, and I appreciate
Yeah.
you bringing that up. I thought about talking about it, and then I thought, well, I don't want to keep harping on it, but no, I'm glad you asked, because what we've seen is that through cooperation with our other departments, it's really helped citywide. So we are able to do things like if you need to sign up for if you need to apply for a business license, that can now be done through that portal. If you need to sign up for a utility service, so if you need a new account for Berea Municipal Utilities, you no longer have to come in to City Hall. And so we are finding so many useful things for that. What we hope to do, a couple things that we've recently rolled out is a short-term rental registration, where we can better track the use of those short-term rentals. What we found is they kind of come and go more than what we thought they were going to. And then some simple things like just a request for zoning letter. So that's something that people send to us. Appraisers send those to us pretty often. So this will be a way for people to just better get the information. So yeah, we do plan to continue using that for various ways for, again, not only our office, but citywide.
questions or comments for Amanda? Jerry?
Amanda, I want to touch base on something. You know, you said that we had 8 new houses over on Madison and Rock Castle. The only reason we was able to do that is on those 50-foot lots. You know, back in the old days, the lots was in 20-foots and they'd join them together. Now we got the bigger, which we did make an adjustment this year on our lot size, but it's still 75. If we talk about affordable housing, we've got to cut the lot size down. We do, because those 8 houses would not have been built if they wasn't on 50-foot lots. They was approved 50-foot lots. So if you buy a piece of ground and it's got an approved 50 foot, you can build on it. But you can't develop nothing new. Now it's 75. Well, you can go to that, I forget what you call it, but we need to, on the new comprehensive plan, we need to really look. And then if people wants a bigger one, join 250s in.
Yeah.
But I just want us to look at that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jerry. Any other questions or comments for Amanda? I do have 2. One is I really appreciate you and your staff being business friendly, really making a conscious effort to try to help businesses who are renovating or getting started to be successful and to be able to do those things the right way and guiding them through the process. I think we're known as business friendly now, so I'm grateful for that. And I also want to acknowledge that Amanda and her team support 3 of our boards and commissions. The Planning Commission, which plays such an important role in our city, the Code Enforcement Board, and the Board of Adjustments. So those 3 boards are supported by Amanda and her staff, and they have outstanding people on them. I don't think we could do any better than what we're doing right now, and that's a good service to the citizens. And a lot of that forward thinking is coming from those boards and commissions and with the collaboration with your staff. So we're grateful for what you do. Keep it up.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Would any other department head like to address the council? Kevin? Recognize Utilities General Manager Kevin Howard.
Thank you, Mayor Fraley. Good evening, council. I've got one item I wanted to bring to your attention tonight. It involves a budget line item overage and a request for an increase in the line item. It's Fund 200 1035 56732. That is our capital new service account for water. Original fiscal year 2025 budget budgeted amount was $25,000. We're requesting a line item increase of $50,000 for revised budget request for that line item being $75,000. The original budget request did not include the complete scope of the Edwards Building water line relocate. That ended up turning into a much larger project than what we initially anticipated during the budget process. Cost summary of this request is $31,500 in engineering design fee, anticipated material cost of $30,000, and the labor will be completed with oversight by BMU staff by the Berea College contractors. One note I'd like to add is, like I said, this is for new service, water and capital account. Anytime that's a customer request relocation, that's returned, the engineering design fee and the material cost will be a pass-through, which will be returned and applied to a revenue line item 200 1035 43 180 customer reimbursement. So all of the overage will be a pass-through to the customer.
So Kevin, you're needing an adjustment on Fund 200 1035 56732, new water service from $25,000 to $75,000.
Yes, sir.
Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Francis Senator, second by Jerry. Any discussion on the motion to approve the overage? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion to approve the overage, please say aye.
Aye.
And all opposed, please say no. Motion carries. Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you.
Any other department heads like to address the council? All right, seeing none, we'll move forward. The next item on the agenda is public comment. Would any members of the public like to address the council? Erica, if you'll come up, and I'll read our rules on public comment. Public is given the opportunity to speak to the city council during the public comment portion of the meeting. Any public comments exceeding 3 minutes should be scheduled as a presentation and will be placed on the agenda. When recognized, please go to the podium, state your name and your address for the record. Comments should be business-oriented, and we ask for no inappropriate language or naming any person individually during the comments. Business-oriented is defined as any business item on the agenda, including ordinances, municipal orders, resolutions, and along with comments related to services provided by the city. And Robin will be our timer, so Erica, you have the floor.
My name is Erica Chambers, and I am the co-owner of Rebel. I first want to state that I will defend anybody in this room for your right to your belief and your opinion. We have the right to choose our faith and to choose how we worship and to choose what church we go to. And I understand the importance of church in our community. We share these rights as Americans. Americans also have the right to free speech, free enterprise, without someone's religious views hindering us for our pursuit of happiness that's in the 14th Amendment. In a strange turn of events, we're here because apparently people were offended by a one-off event that happened months ago that they don't understand, in a business that they don't attend to. And they're so disturbed by it that they keep spreading it around on the internet. These two ordinances that you have slid in on us are quite hypocritical for elected officials to pursue. I've come to understand that the true immorality in this town is listening to your campaign speeches that say you are for all of Berea and that you're for small business, not mine. You're for limited government, not today. And you're for transparency, which is a joke. Faith drives your decision making. It took less than 24 hours after the election before you broke all of those promises except you. You passed two ordinances that don't allow public comments. There's no transparency, and you injected all the government, ignoring citizens and the departments and organizers that work together that ensure the safety of our community. You've worked really hard, micromanaging all of your colleagues to go off on your own crusade, making sure people know that you know what's best for their children, that it's for the sake of their children, that you know what's best for adults to make on their own decisions. You don't have the faith in our city administrator who confirmed that there's not been any issues in any of these events. You don't have faith in our Berea Police Department who has confirmed that there's never been any issues in any of these events. You don't have faith in our city attorney who's practiced law for decades in this county because you have to micromanage that ordinance. You said it took him too long to make it, but also because he did not put in everything in there that you wanted, but I trust his expertise. This ordinance doesn't address immorality. It highlights why this town will absolutely never move forward under your leadership. Your prohibition of alcohol sales on city property further cuts our funding, and you know that. Our summer-long concert series has been providing free family entertainment for 10 years and often feeds kids for free. It's not for the sake of the children. It's so important for you all to start these meetings standing and pledging the allegiance to the flag, and you don't even practice what it stands for. It's a sad day in Berea.
Any other members of the public like to address the council? Sir, if you'll state your name and...
Yeah, my name is Stephen Johnson. I live at 104 Walnut Street in Berea. My name is Stephen Johnson. I am the owner of Top Door Gallery in Old Town. As a small business owner, I am a firm believer in the United States economic system of free enterprise. The American Heritage Dictionary defines free enterprise as the freedom of private businesses to operate competitively for profit with minimal government regulation. It provides individuals the opportunity to make their own economic decisions, free of government constraints. As you can see, your role in this system as our local representative government is supposed to be limited. The key ingredient of the free enterprise system is the right of individuals to make their own choices in the purchase of goods, the selling of their products and their labor, and their participation in business structures. In other words, if you don't like something, don't buy it. If you don't like an event, don't go to it. This is how the system is supposed to work. Individuals being free to make their own choices, not city council making them with bureaucratic red tape. Ronald Reagan stated in his first inaugural address, government can and must provide opportunity, not smother it. Foster productivity, not stifle it. Ask yourselves, how does this amendment provide opportunity? I don't see it. I wish you had voted no, but you didn't. And I just wanted to add something to this. I know a lot of people, voted to protect our children, voted yes to protect our children, thinking they were protecting our children. Well, you know, there's a store across town that's a gun store that I really don't support. When it turned from the Amish store to a gun store, I thought, well, how is this protecting children? It's not, because you're allowing more weapons into the environment, into the community. And I think what you've passed tonight steps on our freedoms. I mean, I really do. I think it's a First Amendment issue, and I hope that in the next term it can be overturned.
Any other members of the community like to address the council? Shane, if you'll step to the podium and state your name and address for the record, please.
I'm Shane Morris, live in town. As an old civics teacher, I'm always heartened to see basic 7th grade civics at work, and I want to commend the council. There has never been a constitutional guarantee to obscenity. It has always been completely within the right of this legislative body, if they so choose, to ban the sale of alcohol on city property. We were told that that was not possible. Even seeing the KRS misconstrued in a meeting to say that, well, no, it can be sold within the parameters. That was apples and oranges. Obviously the move was going to be turn Old Town into one of these entertainment free-for-alls, as you have in Richmond. That has now been short-circuited. That's now impossible. I would further ask the council to be mindful that, given that our so-called Republican supermajority in Frankfurt is really only delivered on dope and gambling, that the marijuana flim-flam is the next thing coming. And it is completely within your power, as you exercise tonight, to make sure that that is corralled and not Wild West like the alcohol sales were. It's still within your constitutional power to limit liquor licenses to as few as 2 in this town, if you so choose. And you know, this country, I believe, things are looking up. There's been a big overreach, and I thank God that things are going in a different direction. I thank you.
Any other citizens like to address the council? Ma'am, if you'll come up and state your name and address for the record, please.
Okay. Hi, my name is Alicia Mora. I live at 210 North Broadway. Some of you have seen me before because I try to come to these meetings when I have the chance. I've never seen the room this packed in the last year, so I want to thank you all for all that you do. And I would like to note that I do come to these meetings and I watch them online when I can't. And I would like to note for the record that you don't make that, not you, sorry, that decisions are not always made in this manner. In a manner where procedure is made to cut off colleagues. That is extremely disappointing to see, as someone who really appreciates the work that you all do and everything that this town is about. I've lived here my entire adult life. My family lives here now. I love it here. 20,000 people live here too. And so seeing the way that the process doesn't happen like this is incredibly discouraging when I try to bring other people to come to these meetings. Because often what they hear is about incidents like this where everyone's blood gets hot. So I think it's really unfortunate that this is an example that is being set, because the majority of your work isn't like this and is collegial and is so focused on the town. Thank you all for the work that you do, but I have to say this one is discouraging. Thank you all so much.
Any other members of the public like to address the council? All right, seeing none, we'll move forward. Tonight, mayor's comments. I have 3 things. I have one item that Rose asked me to bring to you, and this is also a line overage. We would like to request a budget line overage for the Ferristown Community Project. When the 2025 budget was prepared, the city had not received approval for the grant that was applied for. Since then, the city has received an approval letter for $750,000 for for the Community Development Block Grant Fund, and the project is quickly building steam. We could see construction as early as next spring. We need to provide some matching funds to go with the $750,000. So Rose has asked me to request from you $825,000 to be put in the line item for the Ferristown Community Project. The line overage will be in the capital projects line, number 010-1035-56210, building construction. We would like to request add $825,000 to that line. The currently budgeted at 0 because we did not expect this to move this quickly. Is there a motion to approve the overage?
So moved.
Motion by Ronnie Terrell. Is there a second? Second by Steve Cottle. Any discussion, Jerry?
Yeah, I got a question. On these grants, seem like we hear about getting these grants and we're not never getting the money. So if we allocate, you say 800,000?
825. The grant's 750.
I understand. When we gonna get our grant though? When do we get, if we sit here, we allocate our money and we can go on and spend it, but we've waiting on grants now 4 and 5 years and not got them.
I don't know exactly when it'll go. Steve, you want to speak to that?
Yeah,
You have to spend the money to be reimbursed for the money. Once we spend the money, we can submit to have that reimbursed to the city. We get these grants, and they typically don't have a timeline in terms of as long as you're continually working on it and submitting to the grant agency, whatever that is, the grant continues on. So the one you're talking about has been there it's been years, but once we have actually spent the money, we can then submit for reimbursement.
so
And
what you're
this grant has
saying,
been approved by the Department of Local Government.
if we ever get this grant, then we'll get our money back. Is that what I'm hearing?
If we spend it,
I thought it was matching money. I thought we had to put that out to match that $700,000 grant or what, or 800 or what it
No,
was.
the match is 95, 90.
Well, the match would be 75,000 max. The grant amount is for $750,000. We think the project can be done for no more than $825.
I've got no problem with that. It's just, will we ever get our money back is what I'm wanting to.
Yes, I'm confident in that,
But Jerry,
with the community.
Yes.
block.
Rose explained to us what happened about the grants. I'd like for,
I must have missed it.
well, or not less than one. I mean, for example, the state had messed up their stuff there, and they had to start over on the things. That's why we've not got the money for Scaffolding Trail.
So
I've
we
got
do,
no problem with Firstown, okay,
Yeah.
we need to spend the money, I'm not saying that, I just.
The answer is grants are reimbursements.
you spend the money and you get reimbursed by the state.
And we're gonna take that money out of a capital account we've got, is that correct?
Capital projects line.
Okay, we got money in there, right?
Well, we're approving an
Well, you
overage.
say 0, we gotta put money in
Zero,
it?
we gotta put money in that line item.
Where we getting our money to put in that line item, out of what?
$825,000.
I know it, but where's it what line items is it coming out of?
Fund reserve, fund balance reserve.
Okay.
Any other discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion to approve the overage, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say no. Motion carries. Carrying on with the mayor's report, just a couple of announcements. Again, we had Small Business Saturday where we could recognize Patty, and I'm glad she was here. But businesses just like Hayes Furniture depend on all of us to shop local. I encourage you to do it year-round, but keep in mind that Saturday, November the 30th, is Small Business Saturday, and that's a day just to be aware to try to do your shopping for the holidays locally. Also on the same day, we'll have the Mayor's Merry Mingling event at the Welcome Center in Old Town by the train station. There'll be a tree lighting and activities for children and adults, so I encourage everybody to come to that. And it's at 6 o'clock, Danny confirmed, right? That starts at 6. Mayor's Merry Mingling on Small Business Saturday. That gives you a good excuse to get out and shop local. And the final announcement that I have is the Berea Chamber of Commerce will have their Twilight Christmas Parade, and that's on Saturday, December the 7th, starting at 6 o'clock. The theme for the Twilight Christmas Parade this year is Peace on Earth, a Christmas Wish. So I encourage you to come out for that and kick off the holiday season. That concludes my comments. We'll next move to council comments, and I'll begin with Jim Davis.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to thank the large audience for being here tonight. It's very much appreciated. George, thank you for your report on the airport. It's very important to our community, our county, and keep up the good work. Sean, the baby box, it's great. Did you say it's going to be at number 2, station number 2? Okay, thank you. And Amanda, thank you as always for your work and everything that Codes does. Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. We'll next move to Ronnie Terrell.
No comment.
Cora Jane Wilson.
I just want to thank everybody for being here tonight, and Sean, that's great. Appreciate it. Amanda, appreciate all of our employees and what they do. And that's all.
Steve Cottle.
I think since we ended comment early and didn't get an opportunity to talk about the ordinance, I think I'll take the time to do that. What I will say is that my issue with this ordinance is the same that I've had every time that we've talked about it. When 75% of people in a community vote for something, of which I wasn't one, I've said that numerous times, I don't know why we're limiting what can be done in terms of such a narrow scope of the park expansion or Memorial Park. It only affects the ability or the area outside of the toll building. It also affects the Folk Center for anybody who wants to rent that space, the toll building if someone wants to rent that space. It just seems short-sighted, and I don't really know why it's such a, I mean, we've literally talked about this, I think 5 times. It just keeps happening and happening and happening. And you know, the other thing, and I'll say this, is ending discussion, we can disagree on things. We disagree on things all the time. We disagree on things sometimes heatedly. Usually it's in work sessions, and that's fine. But why we don't want to have conversations everyone came out tonight. You spent your time, you came out, and I appreciate that, but we didn't want to hear public comment, and we didn't want to have a conversation about it. And it just seems like poor policy. When we move forward, we need to have conversations. That's why we do this. If that wasn't the point, there would be one of us, and we would just make unilateral decisions. And I don't like it when we take a very open and what is typically congenial process and turn it into something that no one even wants to have the conversation. And tonight's disappointing, not because of an outcome of a vote, but because of the manner in which we did it.
Thank you, Steve. Jerry Little.
I got 2 or 3 things I want to say, okay? Well, I'm gonna say less than I think, okay? So I've learned to do that in my older days. As far as the toll building or the folk center down there, if anybody has a private party and they won't come in there and set up a bar, it doesn't prohibit that. You just can't sell it. You can set a bar up in there and drink all you want to in there if they want it.
I can give it away.
Yes, but you can't sell it. But it don't prohibit people from using that wants to have drinks. That's what, and I want everybody to understand that. And that's all I'm gonna say about that. You know, that's touchy. I appreciate everybody for the reports tonight. I really do. I really appreciate everybody coming out. You've got a little taste of what we have here on the council, how we operate. So either good or bad, that's just the way it is. So that's all I got to say. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Jerry. Next we'll move to Katie Starson. Katie, you have the floor.
Thanks. Well, I have to say, Ronnie, this isn't the first time that you've called for the question when I was speaking, but this is the first time that I had requested, I think since I've been on council, requested a legal opinion. And it's a drag to me, and it feels like a bummer. I feel like I've been working with y'all since 2020 and trying to build relationships, and I'm researching this issue in good faith. and to end conversation, it's just a bummer. And I think it just demonstrates, like Steve said, it just, for me, really, it's about the process of how this has happened. So I'm briefly going to read the last paragraph of the legal opinion relating to the sale of alcohol on city-owned controlled property, because frankly, Old Town is dying. I wish we had more entertainment down there. I wish we had an entertainment district. And I think that we should be looking at creative ways to bring more economic development to our city, look at ways that other cities are doing this safely and profitably. So if, I know it's not actually about the legal issue, y'all, but I requested one about about the liability issue, and it says, in summary, we see no elevated or increased liability exposure to the city due solely to the negligent actions of licensed sellers of alcohol or unrelated third persons on city property. The city will always remain legally liable for its own acts of negligence by its employees, agents, and officers, but under typical circumstances is not legally liable for the acts of third persons. So that's the first part of my comment. And then second of all, after the day after the election, I started thinking about some priorities of things I'd like to think about in my next 2 years on council. And so those of you who will be on council in the next 2 years, I just kind of want to give you a heads up of some of the things that I'm thinking about. And I think some of them, a lot of them, we probably share thoughts about, and I think it would be cool to work together on. So the first thing that I'm really thinking a lot about is transparency and citizen engagement guidelines. Related to that, and I have a whole bunch of points underneath, I'm not going to belabor that right now, but a lot of things I'm thinking about, things I've heard from citizens, things I've had conversations with about the administration. I'd really like to kind of create a work plan, maybe for goals for myself, but also eventually have conversations with you all about measurable actions that we can take for our process to be more transparent and actively seeking citizen engagement. Also, there's some things related to city communications that I'm thinking about related to that. There are a few issues related to utility policies that I've heard questions from citizens about. I'd like to, mostly it's clarifying things with Kevin and his staff, but just have some questions around utilities. Of course, diversifying our revenue as a city is a continuing issue for us, and I think it's something that we could really be thinking about strategically in the next 2 years. Another huge issue, thanks to the Planning Commission, that I've become more aware of recently is our housing issues. And there are some things that we could be doing as a council to move policy to make our community more progressive in how we are handling housing, infill development, that kind of thing. Economic development, industrial and small business, both. You know, we have some staff shifting and we have a full-time person now working on economic development, and I'm really excited about the potential there for growing our economic development. Our relationship with Berea College is a super important thing, and I think we were all encouraged by Dr. Nixon's recent visit to council, sharing her priorities for how she can be, how she would like Berea College to engage with the city. And I think, you know, I haven't made a follow-up email to her since that, and I think it would be good as council members for us to think thoughtfully about how we want to engage with Berea College, especially since she kind of opened the door for that conversation. I'm thinking a lot about downtown development, tourism, Parks Department, and yeah, I'm not going to go on and on, but these are some of the kind of headlines or buckets of things that I'm really thinking about as a council member moving forward, because man, y'all, there's so much more to this than mud wrestling, and I'm really excited about the next 2 years, so thank you.
Thank you, Katie. No. We'll conclude tonight with Teresa Centers. Teresa, you have the floor.
Speaking of citizen engagement, thank you all for coming out. This is heartening to see so many people here this evening, and I appreciate the comments that were made. And I appreciate what's going on out at the airport and what's going on in our codes department, and you all have given us wonderful reports tonight, but the highlight of this night for me, and I wasn't expecting to hear this, was the baby box. And Sean, I want to thank you for your willingness to embrace that, and that's life changing, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Without objection, Jerry has requested another comment. Jerry?
I just want the council and the future council to think about this. Everybody talks about transparency. You can't answer this tonight, but do we want to televise our work sessions? Everybody talks about transparency, so that's just something we need to think about the next council and this transparency. So, you know, if you're gonna do it, you know, you might ought to do the work sessions.
That brings us to the end of our agenda. Is there a motion to
So
adjourn
moved.
by Steve Cottle? Is there a second? We can't adjourn without a second. Second. By Katie Startzman. All in favor of the motion to adjourn, please say aye.